And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at the King's Guild. Now, when I first saw the King's Guild, I thought, oh, it's a bright cover, and then the name was called the King's Guild, and I thought, I'll get around to it. I should have probably noticed that it's from Mirrorbox Games, and they made Chaosmos, which I really liked a couple years ago, and I just didn't think much about it. I thought, oh, okay, again, the whole thing looked bright and colorful, so despite my blah at the name, I thought, hey, I should probably get this one to the table. It looks cool. So this is a game in which you are a merchant and you are selling items to people who come by and go out and quest. In fact, I used to play a flash game on a computer that did this, where people would come by and I would be selling them items. I like that idea. It's a lot of fun. But let's see if the King's Guild is fun. In this game, each player is going to start with one of the guilds here, and you're going to place the building for that guild on your starting sheet. The sheets are slightly different, and as the game progresses, you're going to be building more buildings on these. If you ever cover up a resource with a building, you have to place your buildings adjacent to each other. If you ever place a building on top of one of these resources, you will get those resources. And this is where your area is. You'll start with a certain amount of area to store resources. And each of the guilds has a special ability, like a starting thing. For example, these guys start with some resources. The Mercantile Trust starts with some extra money. These guys start resources. The Craft Collective starts with more storage. The Holy Order has an extra room they start with. The Shrine, which can hold a person. And the Starfall Syndicate starts with a treasure. Now, on a player's turn, they are simply going to be taking one of three different actions. One of the actions can be to collect resources. And by the way, everything on this board, I have all the pieces on, but everything on the board is going to be determined by the number of players, like the number of resources in each of the areas. So when you're taking resources, you can take any two resources or three of the same kind. Now, when you get these resources, you have to put them in your storage area. You can't go over your limit. If you do, you have to discard down immediately. Also, you cannot take gems or magic potions until you have the building that allows you to do so. That's one thing a player can do. Another thing a player can do is they can build the items for people going out on their quests. So there's going to be 5 of them faced up here from a deck that's going to be numbered 1 through 2. And so maybe I have 2 leather and 1 cloth. I can build the vest. If I do so, I pay those back to their spots. I'm going to get this money here, 4 coins, and then I'm going to draw a blue treasure chest. Not only that, I get to keep this card, placing this card next to my board over here, where it will be worth 1 point at the end of the game. Some need 2 items. Some quests need 2 items. When you fulfill these, you can do both if you have all the resources. If you do not have all the resources, then you can place one of the markers that matches your guild on the one you can do. You'll get the money, but the other rewards won't come until you finish the other half or another player finishes the other half. When that happens, the player who placed there first is going to get to keep the card. The other player will draw the 2 treasure chests shown in the card, pick one, and give the other to the first player. And then, of course, these are going to be replaced as time goes by. Now, these treasure chests have a variety of items on them, and you'll notice that there's 3 different colors in the game. In each of the colors, there are cards that might just give you something. In the blue deck, there's a lot that simply give you resources. You can spend these. And by the way, any card can always be discarded for 2 money. But there is also these relics. There are 2 different kinds of relics in each deck. So you'll see this deck has the breastplate and the helm. At the end of the game, you'll get points for the number of different relics that you have. There are also scroll cards that will give you resources, and the player after you some resources too. And there's some other things that are scattered throughout these treasure decks. The red deck has a lot of charms in it, which are just straight victory points at the end of the game. And the yellow deck has a lot of different ways to get money that you'll get throughout this game. So, players going to be taking these treasure chests. You can only have 6 of them unless you somehow manage to increase your hand size. The third action that you can do is you can build a building and or hire a person. And so when you build a building, you are simply going to pay the cost of that building and put it in your area, maybe possibly getting a resource like I mentioned earlier. You can only have one of each type of building. This warehouse will increase the number of goods you can keep by 3. The Gem Workshop and Magic Arcanum let you gather gems and potions. The library increases your treasures you can hold by 3, and if you don't spend those scrolls, makes them worth 3 points at the end of the game. The kitchen and the barracks, which are double-sided, you can build a kitchen or a bedchamber, a barracks or a great hall. These are both the same thing essentially, where you can build these, and if you manage to fill them with people, you will get points at the end of the game. You just get more points if you build the more expensive versions of them. And then you can hire folks out here. You simply pay their cost, and each person on their board has 4 spots to put people, and you can get more if you build the Great Hall or the bedchamber. When you build these people, sometimes they give you, well, they almost always give you some sort of special ability. Here, whenever you get treasures from a 2-item quest, this person gives you 2 money. This person, when you gather resources, you get 1 medal despite what else you do. And you're going to go through, these are stacked from A to C, and so as the game goes by, they get better. When you buy someone from this lineup, anyone to the right of that person is going to have a coin discount placed on them whenever you buy someone for full price. That's it. You're just going to keep taking these actions until you get to the last card in this deck. There's one card halfway through that when it shows up, players will make a closed bid auction, and whoever wins that auction will pay up and get the King's statue, which is worth 4 points. At the end of the game, players will all get one last action when this shows up, and you can put a token on it which will give you 1 point for every $3 and 1 point for every 2 goods you have. And so everyone will put their token on here unless you have another way to get more points. And then each game will be slightly different because there will be buildings available, special big buildings, which will give you a lot of points, many of them referring to the different icons that are shown on the cards, so you can score points for those at the end of the game. This one gives you 1 point for every money you have. Here you get 4 points for each different type of good. So these can get you a lot of points at the end of the game if you build these buildings, but as you can see, they're very expensive. That's how you play. These are really nice pieces. They're only used to basically claim a quest. The only negative thing I have about these is there's stickers placed on these of your crest, which are really neat, but as you can see, they keep coming off, and some of them I've lost already just because the stickers come off. I don't think the stickers are necessary. They make the pieces look a lot nicer, but yeah, that's my only really negative. The coins for this game are fine. They're just, cardboard coins. The tiles are great. They're nice and thick, and they look cool with the different buildings on them, and easy to see the iconography for them, which is especially useful with these special ones. And every one of these special ones is different, and I just like how they look on them. The Vaults of Riches, and the Hall of Builders, and the Hall of Mages, and the Hall of Cunning. There's a lot of halls in your buildings. The different workers and stuff, they use a lot of the same artwork for some of the people in here. But again, like I said, the iconography is pretty simple. And I like some small touches, like for example, when you're drawing the deck here for cards 1, they show you the kind of resources that they're going to need. So if it's going to need one of the 2 resources that are harder to get, it will show you on the other side of the card. I also like how on the board itself, it makes setup really easy. You look at the number of players, it tells you how many cards will go in, as I showed you how many resources, how many people go from the different decks, and even on the buildings, it shows you how many buildings of each type go there based on the number of players. So it makes setup a whole lot easier, and just like, the whole game itself is pretty easy to play. Oh my, I like this game. Wow. Now, when you first see this game, you'll see the fact that you're going to take some resources, then use those resources to accomplish goals, to go out and to fulfill these orders that people have for quests. So my first thought for that is, hey, that's a lot like Splendor. And it is a lot like a very popular board game called Splendor, but the King's Guild is a Splendor killer for me, for sure. This game is fast and simple. One of the things I really like about it is how fast your turns are. It takes some resources, spend stuff to go on a quest, build a building and or person. Bam, 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 bam. You just keep taking these actions really quickly. I also like that everything is limited. There's only so many buildings you can get gems. There's only so many gems on the market at any point in time. There's only a number of quests out there. So you're constantly looking at what other people have. Like, okay, I want to fulfill this quest, but wait a minute, they're about to do that, aren't they? They're doing that quest. Maybe I'll join them and then we'll split the goods. And there's many different ways to get points. Getting points from the different, you can go for a lot of people that give you points. You can get buildings, especially the big buildings at the end to give you points. Going on quests themselves, collecting relics. Maybe instead of using magic scrolls, keeping them at the end for points or trying to get a lot of the different charms. I'm not saying that there's great depths of strategy in this game. It's more of a tactical game that you just go through and play quickly, but it's fun, and every time I played it, and I played it a lot, is just that it feels different and fresh. It's easy to teach. People can jump right into this and play it. I'm able to, get everyone up and running in 5 to 10 minutes. It's fast to set up. Like I said, it's colorful, and the theming of it is fun. You're sitting there saying, oh, I'm going to make this. I'm going to make some magic pants. I'm going to, do this and work together here, and I'm going to collect these cards. I'm going to play this scroll, which helps me but helps you more. But no, I took the guy who, when I play a scroll, I can use everything on that scroll, and you get nothing. It's entertaining. It's quick. There's that one kind of jarring moment in the middle where you're bidding on the king statue, which is a little odd. And if you're playing, you need to kind of warn people that it's coming, just because it feels like almost like a screeching halt in the game. Okay, we're gonna quick do an auction. Auction over. All right, back to normal. But I do like at the end having that card there you can play stuff on to get points, or maybe get points some other way. That's a nice way to do it. Do you want points for money and resources? You get some, only if you take that action. So you can sit there and go, okay, that will give me 6 points. Is there another way to get more than 6 points? Some of the buildings, those blue buildings, those one-shot buildings can be really powerful and if I see someone take one, for example, that gives them points for every warrior item that they've made, maybe I'm going to try to stop them from doing more of that in the future. Fast, fun, colorful, cool. I like it. The King's Guild. I like it a lot.
Dice Tower Judgment. Excellent.